All right, I think we're back.
We are back. Wow. Welcome to another and a very long-awaited episode of Talking Upstream. Season 2 is finally here. And honestly, better than ever, if I could say that, Dylan, if I may.
Oh, yeah.
But first, how are you, my friend? How are you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm great.
Good.
And like I was saying backstage, I'm very excited about our guests. I usually have some stupid bantery stuff that I want to talk about, but I would really just like to get to our guests because I'm very, very excited to introduce this gentleman. If that's okay with you, Dylan.
Oh yeah.
Will you please
it's been a while since we've had. Sorry. Go ahead.
I know. I just keep talking over you. It's like we don't do this weekly for some reason.
That's true. It's been a while since we've done it weekly for sure.
That's true.
Anyway.
Yeah, you're right.
All right. So this week on Talking Upstream is we're joined by our guest Taylor King. He's a director, producer, writer. He has a whole bunch of self-done video movies on various platforms. I should have practiced this, but it's been a while anymore. Here's Taylor King.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey, Mr. King, how are you, sir?
I'm doing very well, thank you. How are you guys?
Doing so good. Like I was saying backstage, and I was about to get into it, and I just figured we should bring you up anyway. This was we've interviewed 42 people so far on Talking Upstream. We are, creators of movies and podcasts, and even someone that does foam donuts that you can wear in your head. But the most exciting thing to me was that I scroll through and I watch so many movies just for no reason at all. I have every single service, and I just like, well, let me watch this thing. And usually movies just wash over me. But I came across one called Super Hot, and it was the kind of movie that I put on not expecting a whole lot, and I realized that I was paying closer attention to it than I thought I was going to, and I ended up loving it so much so that I watched it a second time right away just to make sure that I was getting all the stuff. And for the first time in my life, I found something that I liked, and I reached out to that person that created it, and I'm like, I would like to talk to you. This is a cool thing. And you wrote back.
Yeah, no, I'm yeah, I mean, Super Hot is one of those projects that has captured sort of this cool sort of imagination in people, and yeah, just I personally love the film, and I just love to talk about it. So
yeah, and it was a movie that I watched it. Like I said, I watched it a second time, and then I texted Dylan. I was like, "Hey, you gotta check this movie out. This is actually kind of clever." And the way I think I wrote it to you in one of the emails begging you to be on this show was, I was like, it's like if Kevin Smith had written Monster Squad, because it has like those elements of supernatural things, but also that clever writing style where it's like, yeah, nerds have had those conversations. I've wondered what a better Star Wars would have been like if cast in the 90s, et cetera, et cetera. So if we can get into some questions, if that's okay. Now, when it comes to Super Hot, we'll get back into what got you started in the movie process in general. But when it comes to Super Hot as itself, what was the driving force to make that the story? Was it the nerd side of it, or was it the vampire side, or was it the future Van Helsing thing?
So it started back probably in 2018, right after the Tom Cruise Mummy movie flopped. And basically Universal sort of scrapped their whole sort of monster universe that they were going to do. And like, I had always been a huge fan of the Brendan Fraser Mummy, sort of the classic movie monster films, even whether it's the Lugosi or even the Monster Squad film, and sort of those sort of that era of films that are just fun. And I was talking to my dad, who's my business partner and producing partner, And I was like, we found out that all these characters, all these classic movie monster characters are public domain. And we're like, we can't do the Tom Cruise big budget, action film. It's like, how can we use these characters in sort of a fun way that we actually will enjoy to make and stuff? And so we started talking about, like, what if Kevin Smith or John Hughes had made a monster film? And so that was sort of the inception. And we came up with 5 films that would sort of introduce sort of our own version of the Monster Squad, which we called Monster Mash. So of the Halloween song and sort of all these sort of characters coming together. And we wanted it to be very based in sort of like real world sort of suburbia type of thing, very much sort of like how Monster Squad, is based in, with sort of higher stakes. And yeah, Super Hot was the first of that. And we knew we wanted to introduce sort of the big 2, Dracula and Van Helsing. And so, yeah, that's sort of how it all started.
Yeah, no, I loved it. And, like I said, I put it on expecting just like a knockoff Clerks, like a modern Clerks. And then at some point you're like, okay, there's vampires in here. That's cool. I'm into that. And it's like, well, okay, now there's Dracula. Okay, now there's Van Helsing. That's very interesting. And I love the dynamic of like the team building, because honestly, after watching this movie, I wanted to see a Sam and Van Helsing like team up road trip movie. I would love that. So I think that's very cool. And it's a cool concept to me, especially, knowing how Dylan and I work, to come up with a 5 projects. Yeah. But here's the start to get us to the 5th one, which is the one we're most excited about. Now, because of how much I'm into Super Hot, I did a lot of research on you, and obviously it turns out that you had started your production company at the age of 19 with your dad. Yeah. Now, was that because you were always in the movie industry because your dad was making stuff, or like what was the precipice of, we got to start New Zealand Sun?
Well, I mean, yes and no. So there's my dad went to London Film School when he was 19. Halfway through, somehow convinced his parents to be like, hey, instead of paying the rest of my tuition, just give me the money and I'll go make a film. Because first year they teach you, back then actually how to operate a film camera, where you have to expose film and all the technicalities and stuff. And so that sort of started his film career in Hollywood. For 15 years, sort of from almost when I was born up until when I was 15, he had a post-production facility where he would do sound design for movies and stuff. And so we were always sort of very technically capable of, meeting the especially audio wise, which is a lot of cases the most important part, sort of the technicality aspect of feature filmmaking. And it is just something that I've always wanted to do, whether it was because I've always sort of been around it, or just because of things like Star Wars and stuff. I told him in high school, I was like, this is what I want to do. And he's like, all right. I was like, and at the time, all my friends were pressuring me, like, oh, no, you got to go to film school, man. You got to go to film school. It's the only way you're going to do it. And living in California at the time, I was like, so should I apply to like USC or something? Which I could never get into, especially with the grades I had. But my dad, shocked me. He was just like, absolutely not. It's like, you don't need to go to film school. You've had a camera in your hand since you were 14. It was like, let's just start doing it. Like, let's create sort of a story and a project, and let's just do it. We'll just put it out on YouTube. And that first project was a series we did called Private Sales. And it was sort of like a Breaking Bad-esque type of series about the secret lives of escorts. And it was sort of wrapped up in this murder mystery type of series. And we put it out on YouTube. And we got a call from this distributor who was like, hey, man, like, I love the show. Why the hell did you put it on YouTube? It was like, well, we sort of we made it just to make it. And he's like, Amazon is about to release their sort of independent producers platform. You should try and upload it to there. And we did, and we were one of the first independently produced TV shows on Amazon. We found out a couple years later that we were the #1 erotic show on Amazon for a while, which is hilarious to us because there's no nudity in the show or anything. It's just a cool title. But yeah, and then that sort of grandfathered us into sort of Amazon, and we've been making TV shows and films for them ever since.
Yeah, one of the things that once I've watched Super Hot for the third time, I was like, well, let me see what else this guy's got in his pocket. And look on Amazon, I ended up buying all of your stuff just to check it all out. Now, the first thing that I found that was yours was the Mojave Sisters. Now that surprised the crap out of me. That was such a beautifully shot film. Like it felt like a movie with how it was shot. I know it's broken up into 3 parts, but it has like that Robert Rodriguez kind of filter over it. Now, what was the concept behind that? Because that was so intriguing to watch. And are you going to build off of that story at all?
Yeah, that whole story sort of started as the Mojave Brothers, which was sort of just this story about these 2 assassins who were sort of find themselves in a very precarious situation in the desert. And after meeting Lee Don Hershey, who's the lead in the Mojave Sisters, we immediately changed it from the Mojave Sisters to the Mojave Brothers to the Mojave Sisters, and sort of wrote the story around her and her sister, which is, if you've seen the story, she really doesn't have a sister. Her sister's dead from the beginning of the series, and that was not at all what we had shot 70% of the show with 2 leads, and one of the leads did 2 things. She got a full sleeve tattoo halfway through filming, ruining all continuity. And 2 days before we were supposed to go out to the desert to film all this action stuff that was already paid for, she jumped off of a bar drunkenly and broke her ankle and wasn't going to tell me about it. Cool. Was just going to show up not able to shoot. And so literally 2 days before we had to go out to the desert to film sort of this action stuff, we rewrote everything we had shot to just be solo sister grieving over a dead sister, which seems very fitting because all of us were really sort of in a bad mood. But yeah, that was sort of the we wanted to do sort of a neo-Western, that was very sort of I guess low budget, but just sort of something that was interesting and focused on sort of these 2 sort of broken people, and yeah, it unfortunately didn't do very well, and so we never went to go make more. But yeah, that was a fun one.
Yeah, huge fan of that. Dylan, I talk a lot. I'll let Dylan
that's fine. No, that's perfect. Perfect segue. Talking about adapting, like kind of being adaptable to stuff that has happened outside of production. You had to do some script rewrites. When you sit down and do some writing, how much revision do you do across the process before you put anything to camera? Is it just a matter of like as many as it needs, or do you tend to be like, I'm more of a 5 or 8 draft kind of person?
There's usually only about 1 or 2 sort of drafts before the final draft, because Sean and myself write everything that we direct for the most part. Like we usually don't. Only once have we ever taken on a script that we didn't write ourselves. We're usually each other's proofreaders, and so we'll sort of go through we'll develop the story together. One of us will write it, and that will usually be the person that directs it. And or occasionally we'll direct something together. But yeah, and other than that, I mean, it always changes. You know, like the film that you set out to make is never the film that you end up making. I mean, almost 0% of the time. Even in Super Hot, Jackie was originally John, and was cast. And a couple months before filming, the lead actor who was playing John called me. He's like, "Hey man, I just got booked on a high-paying sitcom. Like, I'm sorry, I can't make the schedules work." I was just like, "No man, that's cool. You know, take the money." And we were literally in the middle of filming Devil's Island, and I pulled up an actress that we had talked to literally a month prior, who I really liked. She just had this sort of vibe about her, like this sort of almost Keanu Reeves type of nerdy vibe. And I was like, what if we just changed it to a female and kept pretty much everything the same? And then I showed her sort of self-tape for a different film altogether to everyone, and everyone was like, yeah, that would really work. And so after we got back from filming that movie, I called her up, and she was like, hell yeah, let's do it. So yeah, I mean, things change all the time. That's sort of a long way to get to there, but yeah, it's constantly a change, and that's part of why we don't take on other writers' work. It's just because I think they would get upset when Carrie Fisher had a great line for George Lucas. She said, "George, you can write this shit, but you can't say it." So a lot of the time, that's sort of what we find too. It's like, that doesn't sound right, just change it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting, because that's kind of the way that Dylan and I work to a regard. Like, you know, we both have ideas. We both come up with, you know, crazy concepts. But Dylan, you know, has taken the time and learned the skills of novel writing and actually script writing. Whereas, you know, me coming from a stand-up comedian background, will literally talk to anyone and have the weirdest ideas. We kind of fall into those, you know, those roles pretty easily, which is, you know, we have this really great concept, and then I throw some ideas at Dylan, and he makes it make sense. That being said, do you have like roles that you like to fill in? Because you said that, you know, you and Sean and you guys kind of collaborate a lot. Also, your father being a producer. Now, is there something that you prefer doing, or do you just like the idea of making film?
It's sort of all at once and at different times. Like usually, you know, when we're writing, you know, it's a tedious process, but I love it until we sort of get near the end. I'm like, okay, I'm ready to just start shooting. Like, now polishing the script is becoming tedious, and then filming, it's like I'm so excited to film, and then sort of towards the end, it's like, all right, I just want to start editing, and then vice versa. But yeah, I mean, we alternate films, so we usually do every role at different times. I mean, you know, when Sean's directing, I'm producing, and then when I'm directing, he's producing. But we sort of do fall into sort of like I usually have sort of more fun, sort of grandiose ideas, and Sean is always, okay, how are we going to do that in budget?
Yeah.
And that's also one of the challenges. Like, Super Hot was just a huge challenge in finding things that we can actually afford to do. And moving to Charlotte, North Carolina was one of those things. So
yeah, that's cool. So Dylan and I, we wrote and are in post-production of our first film. We wrote a mini little film called Give Me Back, where it's kind of like a brain, like a forced brain swap, where somebody steals your brain and then takes your body hostage until you do some stuff. And you know, we got a director to film this, and we got a cinematographer, and we got actors, and we got sound people, and it was just such like a cool process based on something that we loved so much. That was our first real project that we worked on until I think it was like 8 versions of the script for like a 15-page script or something like that. No, that's not true. But what was the first project that you remember just falling in love with? Like, this is the one that I'm going to keep working until I have this story right, or I have this the way that I want it. Yeah, will you talk about that at all?
Yeah, I haven't made that film yet.
Oh, okay.
No, both Sean and I have a couple of films that that if at any point we were spending other people's money, we would jump at immediately. But Super Hot was definitely one of the first of that. I guess in just a from beginning to execution, I think it is the closest that we've ever come to it being how we wanted it to come out from script to screen. Yeah, in the make, I think it helps when the making of that film was just so fun. I mean, it was literally like a summer camp. All the actors, they literally stayed in the house with us, and all the actors who were local would show up on days where they weren't even filming just to hang out. Yeah, that movie was not only awesome to make, but just one that sort of was like, this is how it should be all the time. So yeah.
I hope we get to have a project like that where, I mean, when we filmed ours, that's kind of how it was. We filmed Barlow. It's like the people that weren't even supposed to be there were just hanging out, just like, I wonder what we're going to do. And let's get this dolly zoom on this toilet bowl. And it's like, yeah, everyone watch how this camera moves towards the toilet. And it was so much fun. And I agree. Filmmaking is supposed to be fun. And I love that. Because I like it. You could tell watching the movie that the people in it liked it, especially the main two people, Candace and I don't know the actor's name, but the guy who played Sam, they just had such a great time. And, looking them up, this is the only film that they have as credits on IMDb. So, Sam was really just a breakout star. That dude did such a good job.
No, and he was not, neither Candace or Elijah Wood, who plays Sam. He's just such a great kid. I mean, I think most of the cast, this was their first film, which was also a huge just joy to be around, because they got to be with people and act with people who have been in huge stuff. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen Hacksaw Ridge, but Shimi, Nobuaki Shimamoto, who plays Van Helsing, he is the Japanese soldier in Hacksaw Ridge who basically comes out and almost blows up Andrew Garfield with a grenade. And he's been in huge stuff, and he left Super Hot halfway through to go do a Brad Pitt movie and came back. And he's just such an unbelievable caliber of actor that he just makes everyone else better. And everyone else being sort of, a really, really fresh face, they got to help each other in just different ways of, this was just such an interesting experiment in just having, because it was the first time we've ever, the first film we've ever done in a state that we weren't local to. We literally moved across the country, and then a month later we were filming a full-on feature. Most of the locations they gave us for free, like the comic book store, the pizza place, like those were just cold emails, and they're like, hell yeah, we'll be in a movie. And so super thankful for those guys. But yeah, Shimmy and the actor who plays Brad / Van Helsing, not to spoil it, but yeah, they roomed together too. Intentional. So they both were roommates while staying here, which was fun, just getting to see sort of their banter together, for the next film as well, because at the end of Super Hot we teased the sequel, Van Helsing, where it's very much sort of almost a Shane Black buddy cop film between Van Helsing and Dracula, so that should be fun.
That is cool. Yeah, I hope you signed
Mhm.
him onto that 5-picture deal because Van Helsing, that's
Yeah.
a great
Oh
idea.
yeah, they're waiting for the script. It's in development right now, but they're waiting.
Yeah.
Yeah, right on.
So I mentioned earlier that it had that kind of Kevin Smithy feel. You mentioned like a John Hughes going at, you know, the dark universe creatures. As far as like your inspirations, what would you say were the filmmakers that really stuck into your brain when you were growing up before making movies?
From like my earliest memory, I've been obsessed with Star Wars. Um, uh, Spielberg movies, John Hughes movies. I saw Clerks right at the right time. And yeah, I mean, I think I've always sort of been a product of those sort of, even Robert Rodriguez, who now I think is a little bit more eclectic, but like I was a Spy Kids kid, you know, like that was just sort of like I was at the right age where that I was the demographic. Yeah, Harry Potter, everything. I mean, I've sort of been that sort of Spielberg generation of kids. And just I think my resistance to sort of growing up, you know, and just sort of staying youthful and being a kid, you know, at heart. Those are the type of movies I want to make, and I think sort of the characters in Super Hot very much sort of reflect the friends I had and the friends I wish I had growing up. But and so I hope people feel that too.
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, when after I watched Super Hot the second time, and then I knew that we were going to have you on the show, I actually watched it again last night, and I had my partner. I asked her, I was like, "Hey, will you do me a favor? Will you just watch this movie with me? Like, just let me know what you think." And like she was giving me pointers right away, like I should be writing down her notes, and she's like, "Oh, write down that I like the fact that this character has braces. Oh, write down. Will you tell him that I like that this is a female character, and it's not, you know, purposeful?" And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to write this down, but whatever. But the thing that really stood out that she mentioned, that I was like, yeah, that's right. She's like, it really seems like one of your friends made this. It has like the kind of feel of the way me and Dylan write, where we put the stuff that we love into it. And you probably can't tell from behind me, but like I'm a super just nerd of all degrees. I have Star Wars tattoos. I'm a huge fan of everything. And I'll also say I saw Kevin Smith, you know, Clerks at the right time too. And it's just cool to see someone doing the things that I would love to do. You know, I've tried so hard to be where you are, and it's just so cool that you're doing it and having a great time doing it. And yeah, I just love that, and I just want to say, hey, thanks, because you make cool movies, and I'm into that. I watch so many stupid movies, and it's cool to catch one. It's like, all right, that's a good one. That's cool.
Yeah.
They're actually trying and not trying to make money. But if you had a dream project, and there was like one big, like you had, like you said, somebody else's mega money, what would the dream project, the big budget, huge project, if you could make one, what would it be?
Okay, I actually have three. Only because I only just recently wrote them down. I literally have like a notes tab in my desktop that says movies if I had money. But the first one is I've always wanted to do a King Kong adaptation, and mine would take place in after World War II, and the government finds out that the remnants of the Nazis are fleeing to this mysterious island, and they send sort of a ragtag team, you know, so just to go and intercept them, and it turns out it's Skull Island. And King Kong ensues. You know, it's basically Indiana Jones versus the Nazis with King Kong. Like,
very cool.
And so that's my blockbuster. I've always been a huge Phantom of the Opera fan, and I would love to do Phantom of the Opera with the Broadway cast. specifically the 25th anniversary Broadway cast. I can't tell you how many times I've seen that production. It's a great one. If you look it up on YouTube or iTunes or whatever, it gets me every time. And I would love to see a really good film adaptation of that, even if I didn't get to actually make it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe with what's his name?
Well, not Gerard Butler, right?
No, not Gerard Butler. No, it would have to be the Broadway cast.
Yeah.
Just so you're not thinking about, oh, that's Gerard Butler, oh, that's Anne Hathaway, oh, that's Hugh Jackman, that type of thing. Yeah. And let's see, a third one. I'm gonna keep that one a secret.
Yeah, good.
Cool.
That's smart. Yeah, Dylan. They actually sound like ones that Dylan kind of works on. He's we pitch ideas to Jar all the time. It's like, hey, let's work on this idea now. Let's work on this one. And one that he's always pitched to me that we haven't really worked on yet is the idea of his Highlander series that is set in like the farmhouse Highlander, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
Highland 5 seasons in different time periods. Yeah. You got your dream adaptation idea.
Yeah. All right, Dylan, we're taking Mr. King's time. Do you have any more questions for him before we get into what we do with this show?
I think we kind of got what I had written down. We're good to go.
That's awesome. Okay, well, number one, thank you very much, Mr. King, for answering all of our ridiculous questions. If you can't tell, we're mega fanboys, and we appreciate your time. So thank you.
No, absolutely. I'm disappointed I couldn't get a sort of a lighting setup in my our movie room, but my little stormtrooper helmet there, we've got sort of wall to wall, just we've got a life-size astromech in one corner, we got a battle droid full size in the other corner, we got a bunch of stuff that I've spent way too much time and money on.
I like it because to me, I'm bragging here, and you have like just a nice little Susan of like of movie props over there, and you're like, I'm classy, and you're a thrift shop jerk, so that's cool.
No, absolutely. It's funny because Jackie's room in Super Hot is like only just sort of half of like the stuff that we actually own, and I felt so bad putting Candace in that role. Just sort of, I was like, you are going to get so many questions. So many nerds are going to come up to you, and you have never seen a single Star Wars movie. I think it was Leonard Nimoy. He always used to get like physics questions and stuff, and he would just nod and be like, "What do you think?"
When she was when my wife was watching the movie last night, and she saw Candace's room, and she's like, "This is our bedroom," and I'm like, "Come on, mind your business." Okay, so what we do on this show, Mr. King, is Dylan and I, we have a lot of very weird, stupid ideas that we text a lot to each other in hopes of one day making a movie. What we do is when we have actual creators on that know something about what we're trying to do, we pitch them ideas and let them choose for us, since we're jerks and can't decide on anything. Now, like I said, we have 42 episodes of us pitching ideas to people that are smarter and more talented than us. So if you're listening to this, please check out any of those. And we're going to get into pitching Taylor King ideas that are probably stupid to most people but us. Dylan, do you want to go? Do you want to go first?
Yeah.
What do you got today, pal?
So I thought this would be a sci-fi, probably a movie in the vein of like Villeneuve, something a little less aliens invading, let's shoot them, where Earth, present day, amateur astronomers realize that an alien vessel has parked in orbit around the moon. It's not sending out any radio signals or any sort of conversations, or Mars, depends on the scale you want to go on. And it started mining. And it's not reaching out to us. And it's not sending out fighters or lasers or anything. It is mining the surface of a celestial body in our neighborhood.
So we know that they're there. They're just not communicating with us.
They're not communicating with us, not reacting, and we're just like
taking our moon.
Yeah.
Like,
hold on.
That's not your
moon. And then not much beyond that. It's mostly just a concept, but
that's cool.
Figure out something.
depending on how you tell it, it could be like a first half, like a disaster film, like, oh my God, something's coming from deep space, and they just park on the moon. That's actually pretty cool. Yeah, right on. All right. So the idea that I came up with, I had this very weird idea that this guy's walking through the woods, and he comes across, I guess, like a hole in the ground, and he realizes the closer he gets to the hole in the ground, he starts to get like stronger and more powers, right? And he doesn't really understand what's going on. When he looks in the hole, there's this creature down there, like an alien or an animal, I'm not sure. The closer he gets to this alien or animal, whatever this creature is, he gets stronger and stronger. So the concept I had is that a person that has the ability of powers but has to carry this thing with them so they have it. I thought that was really interesting. But also, I guess if you're a superhero and you have this thing, the closer you get to villains, they would also get stronger too. So I don't know. It seems like a weird concept to explore. So yeah, creature's body, it's in a well, gives people powers the closer they get to it. Yeah. Now, if you can't tell, we have taken about a year off of this show due to the world, and our ideas are getting a little crazy right now. So bear with us. But we hope that you're into. We seen that you like the sci-fi stuff, so we thought these might be kind of interesting to throw at you. So, Mr. King, please choose one of those two ideas for us to work on.
All right. Before I choose, I have a couple questions.
Good.
Dylan, what subgenre do you think that this movie would fall into? Because it sounds sort of to me like maybe it could sort of have the potential to sort of be almost like a mystery type of thing, like especially with sort of an objective of trying to find out why they're drilling and stuff, like what's been there that we don't know about, type of thing. I think that could be interesting. So, but that's just sort of what I thought. Sort of, if you could pick sort of a subgenre that this would fall into, what would it be?
I could see mystery suspense with if they're drilling the moon, then that could have all sorts of strange effects on like the tides and various animal things. So we would need to stop it before things get too out of whack, just due to the moon being too much gone.
Yeah.
So some mystery element, like, they're mining. Are they mining for something specific, or are they just here for resources because there's plenty of other rocky stuff?
But my question is, do we send astronauts up there to learn about mining, or do we send miners up there to learn how to astronaut?
I say we split the difference, learn from each other.
No, I like that.
Yeah, so mystery. The
question is like, because the question is like, what's up there? What do they want? And then it's also like, do we go up there and fight them, or do we just
try and beat them to it?
Yeah,
if they're digging for something specific. Yeah,
it's ours. We want it. What is it?
Yeah, kind of.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Do we need to send up Indiana Jones and Bruce Willis and stop this or something? All right.
Indiana Jones on the moon is a pretty good pitch.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones and the Monkey Moon King.
I'd watch that.
Let's see. My second question is for Zach. Now, this creature in the hole, does the main character take the creature out of the hole, out of the well, and carry him around in a backpack like Yoda? Or is the well sort of does he have to be near the well at all times to sort of obtain this power?
So my initial idea was, before I sent this idea to Dylan, the initial idea I had was that he was going to like take this creature out of the well and figure out what part it is. So would cut parts off and then leave the house to see. I wasn't sure if that was the right way to go or not, so I kind of backtracked a little bit. But I do like the idea of him taking this creature out of the well and either using that as a backpack for the power purposes, or dragging it along in like a duffel bag or like a suitcase.
Got it. And and then what kind of powers do you think you would give him?
I feel that it would start off similar to Greatest American Hero, where whatever he's trying to do, he can just do more of it. And he's like, I have powers. I don't know exactly what they do. But he automatically gets speed and strength, and whatever he tries to accomplish, he learns that he now has the ability to do it.
Got it. All right. And now my second question for both of you. If you could pick a famous director and they were free and available, and given sort of their own style and stuff, who would you pick to direct this film if you could pick a famous director, a modern director? Not modern, but just sort of living.
Yeah, I think for me, based on the quality of the writing, the design of the special effects, and the attention to grotesque, I'm gonna have to say James Gunn for my project. I think that he's got a quirk for color and for weird horror. So probably an easy choice, but that's what I'm going to go with.
Yeah, so sort of more along in tone and style, like Slither and
exactly. Yep, I saw Slither meet Super. That's kind of what I
Okay.
yeah.
And how about you, Dylan?
The obvious answer that I almost gave away was Villeneuve, but I think that's too close to a rival. And as I kind of mold this idea over, it might be a controversial pick, but I think M. Night Shyamalan. I know, Zach. Yeah. I knew that Zach was going to have some reaction to it, but this is that kind of like eerie sci-fi Twilight Zone-y kind of thing, and it feels like it would fit in the Signs universe.
What makes you think M. Night can do space?
Signs?
Not space? Cornfield.
It doesn't. The thing about this idea is that this could be one of those alien movies where the main characters don't leave the planet, and you got your personal drama stuff going down on a world that has just been exposed to the existence of extraterrestrial life.
Okay.
And they're industrialists as well.
That's fair. That's fair.
And so, you have your M. Night kind of weird, semi-alien sounding relationship stuff going on, while in the background, the news station is playing some piece about the drillers who have been trained to be astronauts being sent up to beat the moon invaders.
All right, let's see. Man, this is a tough decision because I want to see both of these movies as you guys have described them, but I think I'm gonna have to go with an M. Night Shyamalan space film. I think like sort of like a late 90s, early 2000s M. Night Shyamalan. I think don't call it a comeback, but I think that would be something I would want to go see twice.
I love it.
All right.
I love it. All right, cool. Well, let's work on this for the next 15-ish minutes, and let's see what this turns into. Once again, thank you, Mr. King, for making this aggressively difficult decision. I knew I shouldn't have gone. Every time I answer with James Gunn, I lose that competition because Dylan.
See, here's the thing: you made it very, very tough because I love Slither. I love James Gunn. I was furious when Disney fired him. I am a huge. I love what he's doing right now for DC. I'm glad that he's coming back to Marvel. But man, the man made you $2 billion and you fire him. Come on. But yeah, just no. It was very close. But I think if I had to pay for one movie, I think I would first go with sort of an M. Night Shyamalan space movie.
Perfect. No, that's okay. There's no wrong answers here. I have to keep saying that because I lose a lot. So there are no wrong answers. So Mr. King chose Dylan's idea, and I think that technically makes Dylan. I think you're winning now over the course of the show. 43. I think he's 43-0. So good.
Not even.
Good job, Dylan. Okay, so we're gonna develop quickly this concept of. There's this extraterrestrial presence, and we don't know what they're doing, but it turns out they either park on some sort of celestial thing, either the moon or Mars or Venus, and we don't know what they're doing, but they're mining. I think that's cool. Now, Mr. King, when it comes to ideas that you're going to work on, do you have like a basic idea like this, or do you have like a scene that pops in your brain? You're like, I got to develop this. What's the start of the creation process for you?
Yeah, so So we now, and we've just recently sort of solidified this as sort of our route, and I think you'll find that most films have this, but we almost have a checklist, and I've prepared this, and I'm actually going to pull it up. I have it in notes. If I could just give. There we go. All right. So here's, I think, what we need to start plotting this idea. And the very first thing is, let's figure out who our protagonist is, and what makes them sort of a sympathetic, active protagonist. So like via Signs, obviously Mel Gibson, he was a preacher, no longer a preacher, but everyone sort of looks to him still as that figure type of thing. And it could be multiple too, but sort of who's our protagonist?
Yeah. So I like the idea of maybe, now don't feel free to shoot this down.
Of course.
I like the, and you will. I like the idea of like maybe like a West Virginia coal miner, right? Who now he has to decide like, hey, maybe mining's not the right thing to do here. So what do you think about that being a protagonist as just our base character?
Me?
Well, sure.
Sure.
It's your idea.
I really like the idea of someone whose career is digging into the dirt, looking up, and realizing that not only, it's like I'm looking up and I'm seeing these people up there who are also digging. And you've got this cyclical kind of like, you could have your character have a story of breaking out of this cycle.
Yeah.
Maybe they're a miner, but they have a telescope in their backyard. West Virginia, they probably live away from a city, so you have a lot less natural light. If we wanted to, we might make this person the person who actually first kind of realizes what's going on. Not the first one, but they're one of the first people who look up and see this happening, and then we kind of follow them as they kind of wind their way through.
Yeah,
I have this opportunity,
or maybe
it's still about digging, but I have an opportunity to get myself out of the dirt.
Yeah, or maybe as a kid they wrote a story about space exploration, but due to circumstances they had to just become a miner and live underground instead of with their head in the clouds. Yeah, that's fine. So, Mr. King, when you're coming up with a story like, say, Super Hot, you had the idea that you wanted to work on characters that were in like the dark universe monsters. So the first thing you do is you sit down and you're like, okay, well, who's my protagonist? Or do you kind of have scenes in mind? Like what?
Inevitably, there's always sort of visuals and images that I sort of have of characters, scenes, things like that. But I found sort of this checklist of things definitely helps in crafting the story and sort of systematically breaks it down, because I found that, and we'll go through these, but I found that once we have these things, it is much easier to sort of write sort of our story more. Now you mentioned I love the coal miner type of thing. One of my favorite films is October Sky, and if you haven't seen it, you should go watch it, because my fiance does not cry during movies, but that movie made her weep. It is a great movie. Now, one of the things I think is important as well is the fish out of water element. And I think a coal miner, and maybe he's sort of, especially with sort of the way things are today's coal mining is sort of a dying profession. And maybe he's one of the last sort of people that's sort of the head of a coal mine in the States. And so whether it's NASA or someone else, maybe they also turn to him as sort of a person that they need to talk to about what's going on, because he's one of the few people that sort of know all about mining left. But yeah, I really like the miner as a protagonist. Now, the second thing that I have found very important is the ending. And how does the and it can be general or it can be very specific. How does the story end? Because the thing that helps the most is to find out where we're going.
Right. I had not imagined this as a, Independence Day shoot 'em up aliens invasion movie.
No, there needs to be like an agreement or something nice at the end. Now, Taylor, when it comes to like coming up with concepts, a lot of Dylan and I, we have very weird concepts where it's like, this might not actually be a movie. This is like a comic book, or maybe this is a board game. Do you ever get into that like a conversation with yourself, or is the majority of ways that like this majority of stories that you come up with are now in movie form?
Yeah, I mean, that sort of came about purely because of Amazon monetarily and sort of the time it takes us to create a project in conjunction with our attention span.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for us specifically, in our distribution deal with Amazon, we get paid per hour streamed. Now we get also that sort of gets diverged into what's called I can't remember the acronym for it, but it's basically engagement rate. Okay. And so how long is someone going to watch this film for? Are they dropping out over the first 5 minutes, or do they drop out at the 30 minutes, or are they watching it all the way through? How long is your project or film or TV show keeping people's attention span? Now, television series, it's a lot easier for people to get hooked. It's usually shorter length time, so people are like, I'll just watch one more. And then by the time they know it, they're 3 episodes in and they're completely hooked.
Yeah.
Now, films, it's a lot harder. There's just a different mentality going into films. Sometimes, when you're watching a movie, you sort of pause. It's like, okay, how much time is left in this movie? 30 minutes. I'm just going to go to bed. As opposed to just, the episode's over already.
Yeah,
I'll watch one more time. Now, we've been doing more features lately, just purely because we hate spending too much time on one particular project. It's hard to keep our motivation going on one particular story, yet alone trying to wrangle the attention spans of actors and the crew and stuff. But yeah, sort of, I divulge. I guess I sort of lean more towards feature films as opposed to TV series, especially as of lately. But I think I watch more. That's not true, actually. I think I watch more films as opposed to TV shows. The only exception being Mandalorian and other shows on Disney Plus, which have got me hooked the best.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, so we're just going to say this is a feature film until, unless like the story dictates that it needs multiple episodes. All right, and I also like the idea of coming up with the ending. That's something that Dylan and I really try to get down pretty quickly since our brain can kind of wander. So it's always good to find the ending point. Now, let's see. A good ending without it being shoot 'em up would be we give them the moon. They just take it. They only want half, and that's no big deal. We realize that the miner now lives on the moon.
We could go kind of comedic and have it be like the aliens just didn't know we were here. They don't have windows on their ship, and they're like, oh, and then you jump forward 15, 20 years in the future, Earth's become like a galactic tourist spot, and they're like, something, because to make it Shyamalan style, there needs to be an element of just kind of like, towards the end. You know what I mean? Where the story doesn't necessarily not wrap up, but there's something completely out of left field that kind of arrives.
Well, I guess we could also go the total destruction route, which is there's nothing we can do about this. Let's just hug until the world ends. What were you going to say, Mr. King?
Oh no, it's just I think something that might now this is usually the next step, but if we're talking about sort of M. Night Shyamalan and even sort of Denis Villeneuve, who sort of does this as well, And we almost need to go in reverse order. But I guess the inciting incident would be the fact that there are aliens drilling on the moon, and the knowledge of that. And now, sort of at the 25 to 30-minute mark, we need a stunning surprise number one, which is something that's shocking that happens to the main character, that is now sort of changes everything. And I guess that could be the fact that he is now being looked at, or, contacted by the government or NASA or something, that he is now an expert in his field and they need his help.
Yeah, I do like the idea of maybe the first 20 minutes thinking that there is this meteor coming to Earth to destroy the Earth, and then right at that 25-minute mark, that vessel stops and just lands. That could be a pretty interesting, like, oh my God, what is happening here? Because that could be like a mini film that has no actual ending.
Especially if it takes place from the perspective of a coal mine town, and sort of that sort of whole mentality and stuff of sort of middle America type of living of like, do people still go to work if there's a meteor coming? Or do they not even know about it? So that could also be very interesting. And people love watching people, especially, now, in terms of the end, we should figure out what is the Shyamalan twist? What is the sort of second big surprise? What's the thing that sort of is the holy crap? I need to tweet about this plot twist type of thing. Knowing that the aliens are drilling for some reason.
Now I think the obvious one is that the aliens are actual humans that are trying to teleport their moon back to their new planet because they miss tides.
Okay.
That's a very, very interesting twist, that, or whether it's a parallel dimension or something like that, or they no longer have their moon, and this is now a last resort of, we're gonna steal the moon from a different dimension.
Yeah, we're gonna steal our moon back.
We gotta
get our moon back.
That's a very good Shyamalan twist.
Considering, there's that idea that the moon was formed due to an impact event way earlier on. These could be the aliens where that original projectile came from. Like, you've had it for a few billion years. We're going to take our moon back. Thanks for holding on to it, though.
Yeah, there you go. Or there's something at the center of it that was from that, which no one has been able to locate it, because now it's literally a moon. Those are two very good.
Or it's like a spacecraft that is now covered in space barnacles.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like the Titanic that James Cameron found, but in space.
Exactly. Yes. So like, it's the moon, or something at the center of the moon is something that these people need, and then it becomes us or them.
Yeah. Because if they don't get the moon, they're gonna die. It's like, who are we to kill them?
There is something though about I think that, because aliens is one thing. It's sort of like it's the I guess unfamiliarity. But if it was us from a different dimension, or even like a parallel dimension, it's us. It's just a different version of us, and it's either us or the other us. Who needs it. And that's sort of their mentality too. It's like, well, it's not us. We're taking it back from someone else. That just so happens to be a different version of us. Interesting.
So, like, if scientists think that this asteroid is coming and it's going to destroy the Earth, right, and they find a way to teleport themselves onto a different exact replica of Earth, but without the moon, so there's no tides, and with tides is life, I think, right? tides bring something pretty important, I think, to
Yeah, I
farming.
think without the moon, we would be screwed.
Yeah, we'd be upset. Yeah, so they get to this other planet and they're like, man, everything's cool. It's just there's no moon here. So like we just got look, the Earth is going to die anyway. Let's just take the moon. So
yeah,
it's not doing them any good after this planet's wiped out.
So they are the asteroid that they're fearing. Oh, wait a minute. I think we fell into a time vortex here. Well, okay, so now, Mr. King, so you have an idea, and then you work on the protagonist. You try to get the person that you're going to root for, and that's usually your window character into this new world anyway, so that the audience, feels familiar. Then you hop over to the ending. So let's say tentatively that's one of our endings, which is like we're taking our own moon back. What would you say is the next big thing that for your brain to work on in these stories?
So, but besides the sort of the major sort of twist of the stunning surprises, then it's the beginning. So establishing sort of, and we sort of already talked about that about who, and sometimes these things are just sort of work themselves out prior to this order or not in the order at all. But where does our story begin? Who's our protagonist? What world does he live in? Who's his family? Who's his friends? What are the things that are tangible that we would actually care about? And then where's the conflict in that? Cool. Is his marriage falling apart? What's the main character's sort of secondary thing besides the main thing that's going to happen? Mm-hmm. How do those two things sort of clash or parallel each other?
Yeah. Well, he used to be, he really wanted to be an astronaut when he was younger, but due to color blindness, he wasn't able to. So when he had his first kid, he really put a lot of effort into making sure that this child was going to be an astronaut, and it's a daughter. And so they have to deal with the plight of being a female astronaut when the moon's being stolen. I have no idea. All right, we're not going to take up a whole lot more of your time because you're very important to us and probably to other people. Yeah, thank you very much for this, for helping us create this cool idea. And if you don't know, because why would you? We're nobody to you. But we have a show on Twitch every Tuesday, and it's live. And what we do is we take concepts that we do on these shows, and then with live audience members, we keep crafting that show or whatever that concept's going to be. So we take about 4 weeks and then turn that into a movie or a comic or whatever it is. So if you're listening to this, tune into Twitch so we can work on this. Hopefully, Taylor King will pop into our Twitch stream and help us out because he's got some great ideas. But honestly, we really want to thank you for spending any time with us. We are such fans of movies in general, but definitely your movies, because they are very, very close to what we're trying to do. And that is great because that's, you're a tangible version of our dreams. And I really appreciate that.
No, thank you guys so much for having me. No, I really appreciate it. I love hearing about how people have sort of responded to this little movie we did because, we just had a really, really great time making it. And it's been really cool to hear from sort of those the like-minded nerds and everything, sort of the people from Fanboys. I didn't want to say one thing because you touched on it, and then all of a sudden I had an idea for our space movie, Dylan's space Shyamalan film. I like what you said. And if our protagonist had a daughter who was in the space program or worked at NASA or something, it's just a great sort of parallel to his real life. Of that's now a reason why he would get contacted, because she knows the perfect man for the job. But they don't talk anymore because he spends his life underground and she spends her time in the clouds, type of thing. It's a great sort of story thing. Anyway, I just wanted to say that and get it out of my head.
And she don't care about digging, but she's got to learn. But damn it, he's going to teach her how to be a digger of the stars. I'm into that. Hey, if you ever need people to help with anything, you have two people right here that make up ideas constantly. And like, we like talking and like making up stuff.
Absolutely, it was a great time. I love talking, nerdy stuff and all that jazz. I did have a question. Have you guys been keeping up with any of the Book of Boba Fett or anything like that?
Mm-hmm.
I text Dylan constantly with all of my ideas and all my theories. I am such a fan of that. And the thing is, like with Book of Boba Fett, it's hard to say what the point of that show is, and that's how you know it's great, because like there's no point, but I love it.
No, and I don't think we will know until sort of until the end. I'm excited I think these next 3 episodes are going to be bangers. I think yeah, I'm excited.
I love it. I love Robert Rodriguez. I love him in the Star Wars universe. I like the idea that Din Djarin's probably going to show up with the Darksaber a couple episodes from now. I want to see Boba riding a Rancor, although I don't know to where or why. I'm a mega fan. I love it. I love all of it.
And who would have thought that some silly little Darksaber that people crapped on when they first saw it would have such a huge impact across multiple TV shows now. Even.
All those fake nerds used to make fun of Clone Wars, and now that's taking over everyone's life now.
Yeah,
but I love it.
Stuff.
Dylan, do you have anything to say to Mr. King before we get him out of here?
Appreciate your time. Always nice to talk to someone getting out there and making stuff. So
yeah,
great to just get that viewpoint. Appreciate you coming by.
Absolutely. And if I could say anything to anyone who's sort of listening and wondering if they can make something and just get out there and do it, because first, second, heck, even the 10th time might not be any good, but if you keep doing it, you're going to learn things along the way. You're going to meet amazing people, and it's just there's nothing I would rather be doing. So get out there and make something.
Yeah,
that's so cool, man. Thank you so much. So until next time, I have been Zach. He has been Dylan, and you've been.
I've been Taylor,
and he's been Dylan. You've been great. Have a great day, guys. Goodbye.
All right, bye, everybody.